Let's talk about some free agents the Detroit Lions still could pick up. In this video, I got 5 free agents the Lions could look to acquire to help fill some of the holes after the NFL draft. Welcome to Detroit Lions Talk with MicroMike. We talk all things Detroit Lions, the news, rumors, analysis, breakdown, and everything regarding our franchise. Before we get into this video, if you're not a subscriber, smash that subscribe button and hit that like button. Let's get to 250 likes in this video. Let's begin. The first player on my list is edge Ryan Kerrigan from the Washington football team. He's 6'4", 265 pounds. He's 32 years old with 11 years of experience. When we look at his stats, he had 5.5 sacks, 9 solo tackles, and 8 assisted. The stats doesn't really show exactly the worth that Ryan Kerrigan is. One must understand they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. You're not going to take Montez Sweat and or Chase Young off the field. He is older, so they wanted to get younger. Ryan Kerrigan still produced fairly well given that he only started in 1 game. He still can bring a lot to a defense. He can definitely get after the passer, and he's a good veteran leader to help out the younger guys on a football team. The Detroit Lions have a decent defensive line right now, but if they wanted to go ahead and add Ryan Kerrigan, that would be a quality, cheap, depth player good for the Lions rotation to get after the quarterback. When we talk about the defensive line, I actually think that this is one of the positional groups for the Detroit Lions, that it's extremely good at depth. And I think they did a very good job when it comes to bringing back Akwara as well as drafting the players that they did, McNeil as well as Levi. And I think it's important to understand that this is probably the least likely situation of a Lions picking up a player would be probably on the edge as a rotational player or a starter type player when it comes to free agency, just because they did a fairly good job already solidifying this line. However, if they did want to pick up a veteran presence, Kerrigan would be a guy to look at. Or if there's an injury down the road, training camps coming up, something happens, you can turn around and sign a guy like a Ryan Kerrigan if he does continue to just wait for the best opportunity. Because some of these guys, folks, are just waiting for an opportunity and the best situation. That's why there's some of these veterans out there that has not signed. So players are just simply waiting for their time to get the best deal and or starting role if that's what they're wanting to look at. So Ryan Kerrigan, I think, would be a quality addition, but the least likely on my list. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 14,000 subscribers on this channel. We're getting fairly close. We're growing, but let's continue to grow and bring Detroit Lions content out to the viewers that really covet their Lions. We don't get covered a lot in the legacy media, so this is a platform where we can get the information out to you, the fan base. The next player on my list is linebacker from the New Orleans Saints, Kwon Alexander. He's 6'1", 227, 26 years old, and he has 7 years of experience. When we jump to his stats, we're going to see he played in 12 games, he had 1 forced fumble, 18 assists, and 39 solo tackles. We're looking for a cheaper free agent to throw on the linebacking core. That is one of the positional groups on this team that is extremely weak. And I think just getting a veteran guy, someone that has done it before, and he already knows Dan Campbell from the New Orleans Saints, it makes a cheap option that can compete to see who can beat out Jahlani Tavai if that's the route they want to go. Cheap, understands the philosophy of the head coach, would be a decent signing for the Detroit Lions. He's a player that can definitely upgrade the position, just like we talked about with Williamson. Again, if there's issues when it comes to the lack of development from Jahlani Tavai, injury issues, or if players just simply do not work out in the new scheme, you could pick up a player that can really help at least fill the void until we really get more players in next year's draft, where we upgrade in the draft as well as next year upgrade in free agency if that's the route they want to go. But Alexander could definitely do that for the Lions for 2021. The next player on my list is Avery Williamson, the linebacker from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is 6'1", 246 pounds, 29 years old, with 8 years experience. You don't remember, he actually got traded last year through the midseason. He played in 15 games. He had 1 interception, 1 sack, but 73 solo tackles. For a team that's lacking in the linebacking core, he would be a very good signing for the Lions, again, to compete with Jahlani Tavai in the starting role. With such a bad depth there, I think Avery would be an upgrade from currently what we have and can help out the middle of the field of the Detroit Lions defense, as it is the hole right now that must be plugged. Yes, they drafted a linebacker, but there's still many problems with this core, and I think he would be a decent signing for the Lions to put in the middle of the field to help compete for a starter and or rotational player. Lions need help at the linebacking core. Not as much as help as another positional group here, but when it comes to linebacker, we do still have some pieces that are extremely slow and thin. It's not like we got this position stabilized just because we picked up a player in the draft and picked up a couple players in free agency. We're talking about a group last year that was the worst in the NFL, and now we just did some additions and some subtractions, but it's still not the strongest group, and the Lions could definitely look to upgrade. So if they want to go a Williamson, they definitely could do that, help that middle of the field out. Plus, again, if there's injuries and or if a player such as Jahlani Tavai starts to continue to show that he cannot improve from last year, then you'll see that it's time to really have an individual that can play immediately for that spot, because we don't want to see again where the middle of the field is completely exploited game in and game out. We don't have that time and that patience. We need help in the secondary. That's the one positional group that we really did not fulfill, and Malik Hooker could be a guy they target to help in the back end of the Lions defense. He's 6'1", 214 pounds. He's 25 years old with 5 years experience. The issue for Malik Hooker is not talent, it's injury, because he only played in 2 games last year, 0 pass defense, 7 solo tackles with 5 assisted. Hit that like button, folks. Let's get the likes up to 250 likes in this video. The more likes we get, the more chance that we give a big LOL to the legacy media when they're showing that YouTubers can't beat them out. That would be fantastic. Let's get those likes up. This would be a little bit of a risk for the Lions, considering the fact he has an injury history and he's shown the inability to stay on the field last year. With that said, I think it would be a cheaper option due to the injury. Yes, he's got the talent there. It would be a higher risk, higher reward type of deal. But considering the fact right now that we got Harris as a starting safety, that is a big issue for Lions defense. To upgrade the safety position is extremely important to make this defense work the way they want this to work. We upgraded the defensive line. The middle of the field's a little bit of a question mark, but they did draft a linebacker there. It's the safety position that's one of the biggest holes on this team. Malik Hooker could be an individual to help fix that hole. Another safety that's on the market the Lions could target is Kenny Vaccaro from the Tennessee Titans. He's 6 foot, 214 pounds. He's 30 years old, but he has 9 years experience. Played in 13 games. He had 5 pass defense, 62 solo tackles, and 21 assisted. Just like I said with Malik Hooker, the Lions' safety position is the biggest hole on this team as of right now. We do not have one starting caliber safety. Harris is not something you want to go into the NFL season with as your starter. And Kenny Vaccaro can bring starting caliber production to a Lions secondary that needs veteran presence. It's an extremely young secondary right now. We drafted Melifonwu. We got Jeffrey Okudah last year. And before that, we had Amani Oruwariye and Walker as a safety. They need to get a veteran presence there to help solidify the secondary into a more productive unit that can help win on game days. Kenny Vaccaro is not the greatest safety in the world by any means, but in my opinion, he would definitely be an upgrade over Harris. I think it's really important for the Lions to find one more player for this defense, at least just to help the players out on this defense. Adding a player really could change the dynamic of how this defense goes, because if you have one gaping hole, you already know offenses are going to target that area. Considering the fact how young the secondary is, it could result in some big plays that we do not want to occur for the Detroit Lions. Safety is the biggest issue here, and I'm going to just plump them all together. When we look at Harris, we look at his development, it has been extremely poor at best. He has definitely shown, at least since he's been here, that he's incapable of being a starting caliber player for this defense. And getting a player such as Vaccaro or a Malik Hooker could upgrade the position. Again, there is risk when you're taking free agents after the NFL draft, when you're taking individuals that have injury histories, that are older. There's a risk, but there's also a reward if it works out. And if it's a veteran minimum deal or a not big contract in a one-year deal, just like we've seen so far throughout this offseason, just a ton of one-year deals, it negates the risk. And having Harris on the field, in my opinion, is a fairly big risk that I don't know if we want to do. So they can go ahead and add one of these gentlemen here, and to me, it would lighten the load of that risk of getting destroyed in the back end of this defense, because we don't want to see that happen. Again, though, when it comes to a rebuild/retool mode, you can't fix every position, free agencies, and drafts to really get this team on a different level. So it just depends what they want to go with, but that's why I put this list up. In the upcoming videos, we've got the One Pride podcast on my channel at 6:30 p.m. EST every single Thursday. It's a very good, fun show. If you're new to the channel, make sure you show up and ask us questions, and we'll answer. It's great interactive show for our Detroit Lions, for our fan base. Show up, have a great time.